Leibniz's life and works. His life began, seriously enough, on July 1st, 1646, in Leipzig. 3 years later came the end of the 30 Years' War, which had swept through Europe and left Germany in a state of devastation. This catastrophe was to cast its shadows over the European political scene for decades to come, in much the same way that the shades of World War II have only recently begun to fade in Eastern Europe. Leibniz's father, Friedrich Leibniz, was professor of moral philosophy at Leipzig University. His mother, Katharina, née Schmuck, was Friedrich's third wife. Their son was christened Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. He was to change the spelling of his family name at the age of 20. When Leibniz was just 5 years old, his father died, leaving him and a sister to be brought up by their mother. According to all reports, Katharina was a great believer in peace and harmony, who never spoke ill of anyone. Normally, one would look upon this as a bit of the usual mythology, but in this case, it must have been true. Leibniz was deeply affected by his mother, and retained these very characteristics of hers to the end of his days. Despite everything, and this everything was to be quite something, Leibniz's life was deeply harmonious. His long-term secretary, Eckhart, records that he never heard him speak ill of anyone. Leibniz's philosophy, too, is permeated with a deep sense of harmony, and his lifelong political endeavours were invariably motivated by an attempt to bring harmony to the European scene. Leibniz did go to school, but said that most of his education was conducted at home, reading through his father's library. He always claimed that he was self-taught, and it shows, even at this supreme level of genius. As a boy, he read obsessively, following his train of thought as the fancy took him, until the entire floor of the library and all the tables and chairs were covered with opened books. The boy is all too recognizable in the man. In adult life, Leibniz was capable of hatching 6 brilliant crackpot schemes in a week. These could range from a submarine to an entirely new form of clock, from a revolutionary lantern to a coach as fast as a modern car, when the roads were still only rutted tracks, from a horizontal windmill to a machine for measuring good and evil, none of which would ever be finished. Eat your heart out, Leonardo. By the age of 14, Leibniz was ready to take on the University of Leipzig. Here he studied law, quickly expanding his studies to include all possible interpretations of this subject, including the laws of physics, the laws of philosophy, the laws of mathematics, and almost the entire political concept and history of law. It was during this period that Leibniz first came across the writings of such celebrated lawyers as Galileo, Descartes, and Hobbes, who were revolutionizing scientific, philosophical, and political thought. Characteristically, Leibniz soon conceived the idea of harmonizing all this radical thought with the scholasticism that it was in the process of replacing. In his spare time, Leibniz became an avid student of alchemy, with the aim of reconciling it to chemistry, and he also wrote a paper that set out the theoretical basis for a computer, almost 300 years before Turing's seminal work on this subject. By the time Leibniz had finished all this, he was almost 20. But when he applied for a degree, the university told him he was too young. Having been found deficient in the one numerical system he was unable to master, Leibniz left Leipzig never to return. Instead, he went to Altdorf, the university town of the Free City of Nuremberg, where they immediately awarded him a doctor's degree and offered him a professorship. The latter he declined, saying that he had very different things in mind. Leibniz was ambitious and wanted to become a power to be reckoned with in the world. Fortunately for the world, he never achieved this, at least not in the manner he hoped. Yet what did he hope for? What, under the circumstances of the age, could he have hoped for? A leading political post? Are we to picture one of the greatest minds of all time working as chief advisory minister to a German princedom the size of Rhode Island? Goethe may have occupied a similar position a century later at Weimar, but this was all